as a person who has been in these relationships where you know how the decisions of the Liberal PM sometimes can be resisted, outright disliked by some people in the regional areas where the National Party represents. To those that are pro the breakup, they say, great, no longer do we have to be the tail wagging the dog or the dog and the tail, all of that business, right? Instead, our own 2 feet, we don't have to compromise, we are who we are. What's your response to those people who say the best thing about the divorce is you don't have to, for want of a better term, compromise for anyone?
Well, I get that people would like to see more National Party members free range and to be able to speak freely about the issues that are important to them. And obviously, that's net zero, nuclear power, coal mining, all those issues. And I get that sometimes those sorts of issues, even the live sheep trade, don't resonate with people in the cities, people who are turning to the teals. For what reason, I don't know. But seriously, we can do a lot more together. As John Howard says, this country is governed best when it's governed by a Liberals and Nationals cohesive government. And I hope that we can get back to that coalition in double quick time, because I think it's too important not to.
Something that I'm finding frustrating as just a person who loves the regions, visits as often as we can, but obviously you represent and live in those regions, is that exactly the reason why you're standing in the community hall that you are right now is that the Labor Party, assuming that, look, they could just dump from high heaven all of the consequences of their decisions to make people in the inner city happy, and they'll just keep throwing it on and throwing it on and throwing it on regional areas. That is the consequence of the next 3 years. And I suppose, as I said last night, one of the things that I like about the partnership, it means that the leader of the party is the Deputy Prime Minister. The backbench Nationals MP gets to walk up to the Minister of Government, regardless of what party, and is able to take the concerns of that room that you're in and take it to the heart of Canberra. But even outside of the relationship of what the coalition is or isn't for the next 3 years, do you have a feeling that Labor is going to freely punish the regions because they see no political downside in it whatsoever?
Well, they already have. I mean, the last budget that Dr. Jim Chalmers brought down, there was no regional infrastructure funding. He took away the Local Roads Community Infrastructure Fund, which I put in place as Deputy Prime Minister, and that gave councils the autonomy to fix their roads, to make decisions based on local people's needs and wants and expectations and demands. All that money went, and yet I didn't hear one commentator say, this is a dreadful thing for regional Australia. Thankfully, David Littleproud got up the Regional Australia Future Fund, which would have built up to $20 billion. And that was one of the asks that we did of the Liberal Party. I'm sure they probably would have gone along with it, but we will always proudly represent the regions. National Party will always, that's our sole focus, obviously in the national interest, but this is where the food and fibre is grown. This is where the resources are dug up, which helps to keep the lights on, which helps to keep the balance of payments. And it's been neglected by Labor. And if what we saw in the first 3 years was bad enough, it's going to be far worse in the next 3 years, and it's going to be far worse if the Liberals and Nationals don't get back together and get back together soon.
Good stuff. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate the conversation. Looking forward to it many times into the future, and take it over to everyone, not too far from Yass. Thank you, mate. Michael McCormack there, of course, the former Nationals leader, former Deputy Prime Minister, and a man who is, always there for his local community, obviously thinking about the national interest as well.